Good morning and welcome to the podcast. My guest from the Marion Crawford Prevention Programs is Christi Eckert. She's back again.
I am, Dave.
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
You said you had a conference down in New Orleans, so I was glad to hear that.
Yeah.
They live down in that general area. It's a different world down there.
It is very different. Pretty area, but yeah, different.
Yeah, I'm sure it was eye-opening. It's New Orleans is a very eye-opening town, and we will just leave it at that for there.
That's fair.
Where it should be. But the Marion Crawford Prevention Programs, first of all, if somebody might be listening to this podcast for the first time or watching us on YouTube or whatever, might want to give a little synopsis of what it is, what you do, that
Sure.
way that they just think I don't have you on here
for no reason at all.
for no reason at all.
Sure. Marion Crawford Prevention Programs is a prevention agency. We work to prevent youth substance use, so primarily. So we are in Marion and Crawford counties, and we have coalitions in both counties. My coworkers work in the schools with young leaders who choose to be drug and alcohol free. And then my goal then is to work with community, parents, anyone who comes in contact with kids to reinforce those drug-free, healthy habits. So, and then also to educate around substance use, abuse, et cetera. So, yeah.
Well, we've just come out of the holidays. We're going into a new year. Some things maybe we want to think about.
Sure. After the holidays, sometimes people might participate in beverages a little more than they need to or whatever, but we always want to encourage people, if you have individuals in your home or around, make sure that you have any medications you might have locked up or put away. A lot of times we see if not necessarily strangers, but even families are coming into homes, and if people don't have medications locked up or alcohol locked up, kids can get into it. With medication, sometimes it's even accidental. Young kids can get into, grandma's blood pressure medication or, her diabetic medication. And that can be harmful for a young person. And then also, the alcohol piece, encouraging them to keep that locked up to not encourage youth use. So, yeah.
What you don't know can hurt you.
That's exactly right.
I mean, that's something for people to think a little bit about there.
Definitely.
I thought something else that maybe we would kind of get into is, people don't always have to celebrate with alcohol.
That's right. We were encouraging for the holiday season utilizing mocktails. There are so many websites out there that have drinks that don't have to be alcoholic. They still look pretty, they're fun, they're festive, and throughout the year, we see a lot of times alcohol use around holidays and celebrations, but we can do and have just as much fun without the alcohol. So utilizing those mocktails, and also being mindful of the people that you're around. If somebody might be in recovery or maybe is uncomfortable with alcohol, it's important to know that there are options out there that are fun, festive, taste great, and they don't have to be alcoholic.
Well, there's, like you said, fun is not dependent upon whether you use or don't use it.
Exactly. It isn't.
I mean, it's
all about who you're with and the people you spend time with, and et cetera. So the alcohol is the side piece, so not important.
I would say a lot of what you do is just trying to get people to think, aren't you?
Yeah, be mindful about what you do. I mean, recognize that, if you are using alcohol, maybe be mindful of how much you're consuming and keep track of that. We talk about maybe making sure you're eating, utilizing mocktails. Maybe you have a drink, but then you eat, and then you have some water or something else in between. Just think about what you're doing and be mindful. And a lot of times it's hard to realize sometimes how much you're consuming. So keeping track of that is important. I know on our last podcast we talked about what was an actual serving of alcohol. So understanding that, being aware of that, you can Google that. What is a drink? And it'll tell you 12 ounces of beer, 5 ounces of wine, and 1.5 to 2 ounces of liquor is a serving. And that takes an hour to process through your body. So understanding that is important.
Now, you're trying to get people to, again, you're working with people primarily youth, correct? I mean, this is really your focus on there.
Yes. Yeah.
And you just want people to make wise choices, correct?
Yeah.
Because we're all going to make choices.
Sure. Yeah.
And sometimes we don't always know the options we have in the choices. Am I correct?
Exactly, and that's where we do a lot of education around our youth. We do teach them the alcohol, what's in a drink, because we want them to be aware, how it affects you. I always joke with them, we talk about serving sizes in food, but usually I'll ask when we do some of the things with the kids, how many had cereal that morning, and did you measure your cereal out? Exactly, no, but are you feeling okay? Yes, I'm fine. I'm not altered or anything. And it's really important for kids to understand, and people just in general, that alcohol affects you very quickly, and one serving can affect you. Whereas 2 servings of cereal isn't going to make you incoherent and unable to function. But 2 servings of alcohol very much could, especially for someone who does not consume alcohol regularly.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add this morning? I know it's kind of this is a topic that's sometimes a little difficult to talk about, because on the one side you're talking about prevention, but to prevent things you have to talk about the issue the way it is.
Exactly. You have to be realistic about what the picture is actually painted. The other thing I would love to talk about is the importance of Narcan coming into a new year. Narcan is a medication that reverses an opiate overdose. Now, when we say opiate overdose, that also could mean a pain medication that grandma is on. It does not mean someone who's in active addiction or a substance abuser. It could be your grandparent or parent that takes medication and forgot they took their first dose this morning and took it again. So the importance of having Narcan on hand to save a life. It's not just about somebody who's in, addiction. It could be anybody. It could be your child. Again, like we talked about, if the medication isn't locked up and your grandchild gets into your pain meds, that's a substance that could reverse, an overdose on even a child. So we are very lucky in Crawford County. We have 2 vending machines at the Galleon Avita Hospital and the Bucyrus Avita Hospital that has Narcan in it for free. And so there's a variety of healthy, safe items in those vending machines. But the Narcan, anyone could pick up a box of that and have that on them or in their home, just to be safe. It's not about, about addiction necessarily, but it could be anyone who could overdose on medication. So having the importance of having that, and I know that's a touchy topic for a lot of people, but it's not always about those that are in active addiction that might need that medication to save their life.
Well, the reason I say it's a touchy topic, because people could be listening and they're saying, well, for people to be knowledgeable about it, you have to talk about it.
Exactly.
And sometimes talking about it is uncomfortable for most people.
Am I correct?
Is that pretty much true?
Oh, yes. We see that in anything around this. When we talk about mental health, we do a lot of mental health and suicide prevention. Those are touchy topics, but we have to talk about them because they are the reality. And we are seeing in Crawford County an increase in those areas. So sadly, and so we have to be aware to help educate people that there is help for all people, and we want them to have a happy, healthy, safe life. So we have to talk about those things, and they are uncomfortable, but if it can keep people here, we'll do it.
All right. Well, I think on that note, we'll probably do a wrap.
That
So
sounds
again,
great.
I want to thank Christi Eckert. She is with I've got to read the title because this is one I always do. It's the Marion Crawford Prevention Programs, and being a part of that. And I know, again, you folks are in Marion County and serve Crawford County as well.
Yeah.
And so we thank you for being on here and sharing with our listeners. And hopefully people glean some information here that might be helpful to them, because, again, these problems are very serious. And they're just not going to go away on their own because you wish that they would go away or hope.
Pretend they're not there. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
again, I thank you for your time and coming over and doing the podcast.
Thank you, Dave.